going to do the little factor tree for you guys. And 54 is 9 times 6. I can break the 9 down to 3 times 3. And I can break the 6 down to 3 times 2. Again, you got to have a pair to get outside the house. No pair here, so I just take what that is multiplied as, 3 times 2. 6 stays in the house. And again, you're at the same position you were over here. We did 2 times 2, so in this case I'm going to do negative 3 times 3, which gives me negative 9 square root 6. And just to show you, just like last time, we have negative 3 square root of 54. And now we have negative 9 square root of 6. And as you see, same answer. Okay? Number 4 here. 225. Is it perfect? Is it perfect? Well, as we see, we get a perfect answer, no decimal, which means it is perfect. So square root of 225 is 15. And I'm all done. Okay? I'm going to look at number 6. Do this on the calculator for you. 98. Square root of 98. Is it perfect? We see it is not. It has decimals after it, which means it's not perfect. So I go to y equals 98 divided by x squared. And all I'm worried about is the table. That's all I'm worried about here. So second graph. Looking for the lowest number under y with no decimal. At 10, I've hit below 1, so I need to go back up. I see 7 and 2, which tells me 7 on the outside of the square root, 2 on the inside. And there you go. And they are the same. Okay. Now, obviously, we know this isn't all easy and everything because, we got to throw some letters in there with it. So simplifying radicals with variables. Okay, here you go. If the power is even, divide the power by 2. Write the variable on the outside of the radical to the result. If the power is odd, when you divide by 2, there will be 1 left over. Keep the leftover variable under the radical, and the other will be just like above. So as you see, square root of x to the 6th, 6 divided by 2 is 3. The square root is now gone. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so it's x to the 3rd. M to the 9th. All right, so m to the 9th, 9 divided by 2 is 4, with 1 left over, so that's why we have m to the 4th and 1 left over. So let's look at number 1 here. We've got the square root of 16, x to the 3rd, y to the 6th. So first of all, square root of 16. Is it perfect? Yes, it is. All right. So we've got 4. And then we have x to the 3rd. Now, x to the 3rd, 3 divided by 2, equals 1. And 1 left over. So it means I've got 1x out here. And I've got 1x inside here. And then I have y to the 6th. 6 divided by 2 is an even number, obviously, so 3. So that comes outside as well. Let me slide over and give myself some more room. So I got 4x, y to the 3rd power, and there's your answer. 4xy cubed square root x. Okay. Same thing for 2. So the first thing I'm going to ask myself, is it perfect? Is the number perfect? So I see the number is not perfect. So I'm going to go to y equals 124 divided by x squared. And I'm going to go to my table. And I'm looking for the lowest number under y. And there we are. So that means 2 goes on the outside. And on the inside, it looks like it's 31. Now we're going to do the same thing with the variables we did over here. So x to the fourth, that's an even number. 4 divided by 2 is 2, so that's going to be x squared. And then we have 7, which is an odd number. So 7 divided by 2, 2 goes into 7 3 times. And we're going to have 1y left over. And there we go. And there's our answers. Okay. Now just remember, if you got questions, you can email me. And if I can't answer it in an email, I can do a video just like I'm doing right now, and I can video it to you as well. So just remember that. All right, so we're going to do one of these at the bottom here. And we'll look at, let's look at number 5. All right, so just like before, the 4 goes into a parenthesis, and then we got to work this out. All right, so we've got 45 is the square root of 45 perfect. As you see, no, it is not. All right, so since it's not perfect, I'm going to go to y equals 45 divide x squared. And just remember, this is the quick way, the easy way. If you don't have a calculator, you can still do the factor tree. It still works. Looking for the lowest number, and I found it. It is 3 and 5 because we did that one earlier, number 1 at the very top of the page. As you see, 3 and 5. So I can just use that again if I wanted to. So I've got 3 and then square root 5. And then I have this p squared. Well, 2 divided by 2 is just 1. So I've got my p. And just like we did up here at the top, I'm going to multiply here. 4 times 3p. And 4 times 3p is 12p square root 5. And I am now done. Okay. And remember, if you got questions, shoot me an email. We'll work it out. We'll make it work. I know it's tough right now, but we'll make it all work. All right, so this part is a little bit different. These numbers are not square roots. These are different types of roots, which those just tell you how many groupings you need to make this work, to get out of the house. So if you see a 3 up here, that means you need 3 to get out of the house. If you see a 4, you need 4 to get out of the house. And there's a 5 here. If you see a 5, you need 5 to get out of the house. All right. You can do the prime factorization if you want to. Doesn't matter to me either way. So this is a cube root. Now, how do you do a cube root in a calculator? Well, if you go to math on your calculator, the 4th one there, that is a cube root. And then I can hit 128 and find out, is it perfect or not? And as we see here, it is not. All right, so we can do this one of 2 ways. I can show you the prime factorization here, which I just did on the calculator. I did 128 divided by 2, and that's 64 times 2. Can't do anything to the 2's. That is 8 times 8. 4 times 2, 4 times 2, 2 times 2, running out of space, 2 times 2. And we are looking for groups of 3. So there's one group of 3, 2 groups of 3. So 2 times 2, which would be 4. Cube root 2. Now, as you see, we did math 128. And we can do it the same way, math, and we end up with the same answer. Now, is there a way to do this one on the calculator like we did the square roots? Absolutely. So this is the cube root. So instead of dividing by x squared, I'm going to divide by x to the 3rd and do the same thing. Second graph. Look for the lowest number, and there you go, 4 and 2, just like we have here. That's the way you can do that one as well. All you're doing is dividing by x to whatever power is out here, whether it's a 3, a 4, or a 5. So for example 2 here, we've got the 4th root of 162. Now, can you do that on a calculator? Yes, all right. Now, as you see on math, there isn't a fourth, but there is one with an X on it. So with the X on it, we're going to do the 4 and then math. That means it is now the fourth root. And then we got 162. As we see, it is not perfect. So I'm going to go to my y equals. I've got 162, which is underneath my fourth root. And I'm going to divide it by x to the fourth because it is the fourth root. And do the same thing. Look at my table. Lowest one without a decimal, which is right there, 3 and 2. So I've got 3 on the outside. I've got the fourth root of 2. And that's about as simple as it gets for that. All right. Now, with the cube roots, with the odd roots, you can have negatives underneath. That's okay. So, for example here, let's look at number 3. We've got negative 2 times the cube root of negative 125. So the first thing I need to do is check the negative 125, the cube root of that. And my, does that work out well for us? All right, so I've got negative 2 times the cube root of negative 125 is negative 5. Notice there's no more cube root. That disappears once I get a perfect one. So then I just have negative 2 times negative 5, which is 10. And if you see on the calculator here, if I actually typed it straight in, negative 2, negative 125, we end up with 10 anyways. All right. Do one more for you guys. We'll come over here to 6. Probably freak you out a little bit with the 5. So I've got 4 times, and we want the fifth root of negative 64. So remember, I typed the 5 in first, go to math, the one with the x root, and then negative 64. And we see that is not perfect. Make sure of that again. Yes, all right, so it is not perfect. So I'm going to go to y equals. I've got negative 64 divided by x to the 5th. X to the 5th. I'm just going to look at my table, and as you see, there we are, 2 and negative 2. So I've got my 2, 5th root, negative 2, multiply 8, 5th root, negative 2. And there you guys go. All right. Remember, if you got questions, shoot me an email. Make life simple for you. All right. And remember, if you got any questions or you need to see the answers, you can hit pause on this video and that will help you as well. What I want you guys to do is I want you to try these with variables and different powers. All right, 1 through 10. Now I'm going to give you an example of one real quick. This one up here at the top is a cube root 128x to the 7th. This number out here tells you what to divide by. All right, when you're looking at your variables. So I'm going to go to the 128. Is it perfect? No, it's not. We know that from the previous one. We know that 128 is 4 cube root of 2. All right, we know that. So I've got 4 cube root 2 is 128. Now, this is x to the 7th. So now we're doing 7 divided by this number out here, which is 3. So 3 goes into 7 how many times? 2. So that means we have x squared. All right, so 3 goes into 7 2 times with 1 left over. There's our answer. All right. Remember, you're using the number on the outside and dividing this number, this variable, divided by that number on the outside. That will help you get what's left on the inside. All right. That will help you out with what's on the inside. If you got questions, you struggle with these, email me. We'll help you out. Just email me and we'll talk through it. Thank you guys. We'll talk to you soon.